How's it going, everybody? We had a bunch of technical issues, so it's later than we wanted to start this. But it doesn't really matter for you guys because this just is whenever you're watching it, it pops up. But I am Mike Daggs, your host, kind of. I am joined by Josh Meany.
What up, everybody? Happy Merry Christmas. This comes out on Christmas? No, this comes out tomorrow. Never mind.
Happy almost Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy?
It's going. How you guys doing tonight?
You're not using a microphone, so you're not fooling nobody.
Don't you tell me what I'm doing and not doing.
Oh man, if we had been recording like what goes on behind the scenes sometimes the shenanigans, it's quite funny. I mean, it wasn't too funny because I could tell Erica was getting a little pissed off, and we almost lost. We almost lost him. So, but he's here. Everyone's here. Sounds good. Audio, videos, all that's good. This week we have a bunch of stuff to talk to you guys about. There's been, matter of fact, earlier, probably within the last like 2 hours, there's been so many like trailer movie announcements.
Yeah.
Like, things that it's like, oh man, we could talk for 3 hours about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the low key ones that I don't know if a lot of people saw, new movie starring Adam Driver, which it's weird because there's been, I feel like all Star Wars cast like really got hurt by the. It's hard. Do you think they got hurt by the the way the movie just didn't like critically receive well, or is it just
I think the only one who really didn't do much after was Daisy Ridley, who plays Rey. But John Boyega went on to do stuff. Oscar Isaacs went on to do a whole bunch of stuff.
I pocket on that one. That's my bad because Oscar Isaac is.
Yeah, there's quite a few characters that went on to do other stuff. So no, I don't think it hurt them. I'm surprised Daisy Ridley didn't do much more. I know she did that train movie. What was that? Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah,
she was in that. I didn't see it either.
I didn't see it either.
Well, this
I think she was in another movie with Tom Holland, I believe.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. See, it's just me then. Sorry, my bad. It's just me. But no. So this new movie 65 was the trailer just dropped about a week ago. Seems like it's some sort of astronaut who maybe gets sucked through a wormhole or something. And
yeah.
Okay. And it lands on Earth 65 million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Dinosaurs. He's basically like Jurassic Park. It's like a Jurassic Park prequel.
Right, yeah.
So what were your thoughts, Josh, on the trailer?
I was surprised by how much I dig the trailer. Honestly, I mean, it's not this crazy concept, really. I mean, we've seen things like this before, but I was intrigued by the trailer, and I really like Adam Driver. I think he is a very, very good actor. So anything that he's a part of, anything he wants to do, I'll check it out. I'm pretty sure I've seen most of the newer things that he's done. The only thing that worries me is this is a Sony movie. Sony doesn't put out the greatest films anymore. They have classics. I mean, the original Men in Black, like Ghostbusters. But as of late, that isn't a Spider-Man film.
You know what?
Not a whole lot of greatness comes out of Sony, so that makes me a little worried.
Very hit or miss.
What I've always found the problem with Sony movies is I feel like some of their movies they show in the trailer, like a lot of the like announcement and like advertisements they do for it give a lot away. I've always found it to be a weird thing where it's like I remember the very first their Spider-Man movie, the Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching the trailer and I was like a 4-minute trailer. I feel like I just watched the whole movie and got the whole entire plot. Now I know what happened.
Oh, they put so much out. Like, there was like a couple trailers, and then they had a couple TV spots. And like by the end of the whole promotion run, I'm like, I pretty much know this movie.
Yeah, and I was actually surprised with that one that like there was a few big things that they hid, but that was but that was like the one of the only movies that they that they did that with. What did you or do you have any concerns about the movie, Eric?
Concerns again. I think the only concern I really have is the fact that it is a Sony movie. So I mean, they have been very hit or miss with all their stuff in recent times. Again, obviously, Spider-Man's they're killing it. They're always going to kill it. But I mean, just from the trailer alone, I was watching it, and I mean, I dig it. I really do dig it. It's definitely a cool concept. Obviously, it's definitely takes place in the future, and obviously it's some kind of a wormhole. I'm assuming, but sure as shit, they strange planet, and only find out that it's Earth, and 65 million years ago.
Yeah, right.
So he's battling, he's got all this cool future tech and shit. I mean, just a little bit of snippets of what they got, guns and sensors and shit like that. I was like, all right, I can see this. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I think I'm only reserved because the only other time we saw a movie that was based in like futuristic Earth like that, not the only time, was but like one of them time was like After Earth. Smith, and I think that's why I'm just like, ooh, I don't know, like
get the vibes from it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe they had to give away that it was Earth early, just so you don't like spoiler thing. Like, I'm wondering why they didn't kind of keep that like a secret, and maybe like go with a different title or something. Or
well, I think mainly because obviously just the title is 65.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, what is that? And then you see that's like, okay, this makes sense. And kind of it got the dinosaurs. Now it's going to drag in that audience. I have a feeling it's going to try to drag in the sci-fi people along with like the Jurassic Park people.
Yeah, because Lord knows they need something new because those movies aren't doing it. Although I didn't see Dominance, but I heard that it was
the latest one, right? That was the latest one. Yeah, it has like a 30 something on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm pretty sure.
It was definitely different.
Yeah, I didn't even waste my time. I watched Fallen Kingdom, the one that came out before that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I like Jurassic World. Like that first one that they put out, I was like, oh yeah, this is fun. Yeah. I feel like we're back in it. And then Fallen Kingdom, I was like,
whoops,
this movie sucks.
It's hard. That's hard for me because if you guys watching know that I'm in the middle of doing my top 100 movies of all time, and Jurassic Park's pretty high up on my list. So if I was to like look at where I would put all of the subsequent films, it's like Jurassic Park way up there, and then it's like Lost World is to me because I just have fond memories because when I was a kid, like all children, loved dinosaurs. So that one is probably higher than it would be on most people's lists. And then 3 kind of, but I
got a soft spot for 3. I don't know what it is.
I have a soft spot for Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, and I recognize that those are not good movies. They're okay, but yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Dinosaur movies have kind of been a little weird for me. I'm not a big horror guy. I'm not a big horror thriller, like action thrillers like that, and that's kind of what that's given me for vibes. I shouldn't say I'm not a thriller. I do like thrillers. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm going to be surprised by what this movie can do because watching the trailer, it looks exciting, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be like, oh wow. And I know that Adam Driver's a really good actor, so maybe he's going to do something in it that makes me go, oh shit, that was great. But I don't know. I'm interested, but not over. That's kind of always my stance. I'm like,
this is one of those movies that like I'm not gonna be there opening weekend. I'm gonna let everyone see it, and then eventually I'll head out and go see it.
Glowing reviews, then I might, but I don't know. I think a movie that I will want to go see opening weekend with this that also dropped its trailer is the Across the Spider-Verse movie. Eric, what was your takeaways from that trailer?
First off, I was just like, thank you, because I've been dying for a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which I originally did not think I was going to like. I was like, no, no, I'm good. Don't want any part of it. And sat at home. It was like in the beginning of the pandemic. I was at home. I was working night shifts, so I needed to kill. No, I was actually home with COVID.
I'll do it.
And I was just trying to kill time, and I didn't really have it. I was just sick. Well, I had it, but didn't have any symptoms. However, back on topic. I was like, all right, you know what? I've watched just about everything I can watch. I haven't seen it. All right, I'll just throw it on. Loved every second of it.
That must have been like a Christmas gift. Like, that's the best thing ever when you don't expect anything from a movie and then it just turns out to be one of the greatest animated films of all time. And you're like,
100%. Yeah, like after the movie, I'll never forget it. I went and saw the movie with my wife. And as soon as the credits rolled, I turned to her and I said, that movie had no right being that good. Had absolutely no right. It shouldn't have been as good as it was. I'm like, this is one of my favorite Spider-Man films. Like, that was incredible. Oh, my God.
I just had so much fun. I mean, it was just watching, and then obviously with all the different characters. And come on, Spider-Pig.
Yeah.
I mean, and the first time I see it, the first thing that goes into my head is Simpsons movie, Spider-Pig, Spider-Pig.
Yeah.
Whatever Spider-Pig does. But but watching this trailer, I was like, this is going to be awesome. I mean, it's just, Gwen pulls him back into her universe or into some other altered reality of sorts, but all the different Spider-Man, it looks like they're all battling each other. It's I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're all upset with Miles for something. They're all going after him. Like,
I know she was like saying the line like "We're not the bad guys" or something. Like maybe, it's great. I was actually really pleasantly surprised with like how intriguing that movie looks.
Yes.
The artwork is absolutely beautiful. It's straight up out of a comic book. It really is.
Yep. Yeah, I loved it. It's weird how they can do that, and it proves to the point I was saying before, where some characters, the character's bigger than the actor, and there's like something about Spider-Man that it's just great. Like there's the different iterations of it. It pulls it off. Unlike some characters that have to have a specific backstory and have to kind of follow that, that certain canon to just. But this one doesn't. Spider-Man doesn't. It's weird. It's nice.
I do love the fact that they throw in the animated Stan Lee into it, because it's just thank you.
Yeah, throwback from the first.
Keeping him alive,
Yeah, man. Stan Lee being gone. There's something missing. I feel that when I watch these Marvel movies, his cameo isn't there anymore. And I feel that. And it sucks. It really sucks. But, I mean, he left an amazing legacy. And it just... Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time. And you give me this Spider-Man movie that's good, has all these iterations of Spider-Man, like... I'm in my glory when I'm watching that movie. Yeah. And it was done with so much heart. It was made by a bunch of people who love Spider-Man. And you see that, it's almost like watching Mandalorian, that was made by people who love Star Wars. We got to bring Star Wars into it no matter what, right? But that's what it reminds me of, though. Like, I respect that. Yeah, exactly. I just respect that so much when things are handled like when there's heart to it from the creators. And that just bleeds through this. It really does. I'm so excited for the new one. I can't wait to see what the story's like. Why is Spider-Man 2099? Is it? 2099, I think.
Which one?
Oscar Isaac. The one Oscar Isaac is playing. The one who he time travels and stuff. I think it's 2099. I always mess up Spider-Man 2099 and like Blade Runner 2049, I think it's called. I always like flip-flop them in my head. Yeah. But I can't wait to see that story because Spider-Man 99, he's not a villain. So I'm curious, why is he after Miles? Why are they all after Miles? What the hell is going? It's on epic proportions, and it's part one. Across the
Yeah,
Spider-Verse part one. I just seems like the scale is just huge.
yep. They're definitely pulling it off. It's good to see there's a plethora of Spider-Man and anybody can kind of be him and be loved and be loved, beloved and beloved.
That's kind of like what we were saying before. It's like there's certain characters and hero and comic heroes that play certain that just tug at our heartstrings all the time, and doesn't matter who they have to play the character, we still love them no matter what. Spider-Man is one of them, and I don't think everyone cares too much about Peter Parker per se. It's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's just the same. It's just the way the character is.
It's kind of like you can get anybody to play them and they'll love them. Unlike, it seems, who are you going to get to play Superman? And that is so. Earlier this year, Henry Cavill essentially quit Witcher.
Yeah.
Now, so to come be Superman again.
Yes.
James Gunn takes over as CEO of the DCEU or whatever they're calling it, the DC.
DCU now. It is officially the DCU, which I was calling it that the whole time.
Yeah.
And then
it's just the DC
now
universe.
Henry Cavill's out as Superman. So we will no longer get him as Superman. Now, I thought originally that meant they were going to do some. Didn't we talk about that they were going to do like maybe more of like an Origins or something? Or maybe that is just something, some tweet I read that was like, oh, they're going to do an Origins thing. And he's not there yet. And like an hour later, like he posted on his Instagram that he was out. And it's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
That both IPs are suffering from it. Here's a question: who could you see, Josh, maybe becoming the new Superman? Do you think it's going to be an unknown or someone that already exists?
Part of me always wants an unknown when these types of castings happen. I kind of want somebody I don't really know, I'm not really familiar with. That's what scared me about Ben Affleck when they cast him as Batman. I'm like, yeah, I know he can do it, but am I going to be able to see him as that character? Yeah. But, I mean, then, of course, a couple actors will come to mind, and I know there's a lot of controversy with this actor. There's a lot going on. I don't know if you heard about the stuff with Armie Hammer, but I think Armie Hammer would be a very good Superman. But
Superman's not a cannibal. Superman's not a bad guy. Gosh,
I'm not talking about Armie Hammer as a person, but as an actor, I think I always thought Armie Hammer would be a great Superman.
Yeah, he does part.
Yeah, he really does. But other than that, I don't know. I think he's the only person that really pops in my head. And I know I did read officially they want to do the early years of Superman. Now, I don't think they're doing an origin. I think it's just the early years, kind of like what they did with the Batman. They didn't do the origin story, but it was his early years. So they're probably going to want to get a younger actor.
Because God forbid they come up with new adventures in their later years. We have to go back and show them like we can just be like, oh, he's not. Well, the flaws of our writing are just represented by the flaws in the character because he's not fully he's not fully a full superhero yet. So that's why our bad writing is not as good as it should be.
And why do they do that? Like, why we keep getting like it's always the early years. Like, no, I want to see Spider-Man in his 40s. You know what I mean? Superman in his 50s.
I think they're trying to build because here's the thing: if they swing and they miss with 20-year-old Batman, right? They can just scrap it and go, "F it, who cares?" Then we'll cast somebody else in a couple years as Batman, and we'll do something else in a different direction with it. Where that's like. The earlier, if they do something later, it's like you're not grabbing the potential of growth. If you have to throw the whole thing out, if you do something younger, you can still kind of go with whatever plans you had for that character and that arc. You can maybe recast him and go in a slightly different direction, but the future that you had planned, it's still, you're still protecting that, so you can still do it. Where, like I said, if you go to the later years when he's fully matured or whatever, I think there's one going to be less of a character arc. Two, if you screw it up, well, now you've got to restart it all over again. So I think they're playing it closer to their vests now without going crazy with their idea. They're just like, oh, let's just do all these people when they're still have an ability to change who they are.
Right. And that makes sense that they're doing. So I guess the best way for them to do it would be like pick an actor to play them in the early years, and then let's get 20 years, with this actor. Actually do that. And they could do that with like Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Keep them going. Keep that. I want to see 40-year-old Tom Holland still playing Spider-Man. Hell yeah. Like that character arc would be insane. And then you get best of both worlds. You saw the early years. Now you see the later years. I like the idea of these old beaten down superheroes, who've just been through it. Like I want to get into their mindset of how they feel in that point in time. Kind of like Logan.
I did love that. Logan. I loved I don't know the character, the older Spider-Man in Into the Spider-Verse. Like his story was super intriguing. And then there was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in No Way Home. It was like, I want more of that. I want to know what.
I want to see that. I want to see. Same with Andrew Garfield. He's talking about he never got over the death of Gwen. He got angry and bitter, and I'm like, I want to see that. I want to see you go down that dark. That's the perfect time for a symbiote to come along. Like that.
I think we'll see
that story could be great. But anyway, we're talking about Superman, so I keep bringing up Spider-Man for some reason. But when it comes to Superman, I'm very upset that Henry Cavill isn't playing Superman. I'm actually devastated. I'm very upset, but I trust James Gunn. He's coming in. He's like, look, everything you guys have been doing, it's not working, and it hasn't been working. So we're going to start over. And he seems to have a lot of respect for the character of Superman. He has a lot of respect for Henry Cavill. He met with him, and they talked about where he could fit in the DCU, helping out in other ways. Same with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck isn't going to be Batman anymore, but it was official that James Gunn and Ben Affleck were talking about Ben Affleck directing a DC movie in the future. I'd love to see that. Ben Affleck's a great director. So I'm trusting James Gunn. Everything they've been doing with DC hasn't been working. Yes, there have been gems. There's been diamonds in the rough going along. But overall, the DC has been failing, the DC movies. So I trust him coming in like, look, we have a different vision. This is what we're going to do. He said that Superman's going to be a big part of DC, as will Batman. You're talking about two of the biggest superheroes ever. Superman and Batman. You shouldn't be making films with these characters and then be just failing. You shouldn't be failing at that. You know what I mean? And I trust him. Whatever he's going to do, yes, I'm unhappy about Henry Cavill being out. I trust him. Whatever he wants to do, just do it.
I said the same thing last week when we were talking about the news that Henry Cavill was coming back as Spider-Man. As Superman.
That'd be dope too, yo.
No. But that was what the Spider-Man had. Fucking Spider-Man stuck in my goddamn head now. But no, but that was what we discussed last week, was the big news that he was coming back as Superman. And I was super fucking excited. And I had also said the same thing where, like Josh had said, I trust James Gunn. I mean, we saw what he did with Guardians and the MCU, and he knows what he's doing. I trust his vision. And yes, I am devastated that Henry Cavill is out. But I'm also holding on hopes that it's just a ploy. So we know how they are with secretives.
I don't think it is. I don't. Well, I think he's out. I really do.
I'm grasping at straws here. I'm fucking grasping at straws. Let me have my fantasy for at least another week.
No, because he's been attached to Warhammer, the Warhammer franchise.
Yep.
So,
And a lot of
yeah,
people are saying, so there's been a lot of talk that he left Witcher to do Superman, but the reports that I've been seeing, he left Witcher because he didn't like where it was going creatively. Now, Henry Cavill was a fan of The Witcher, like the books, not even the games, the books, you know?
I heard that too. I heard that before he got the role of Superman. This was like 4 or 5 months ago when I heard that Henry Cavill wasn't happy with the direction of The Witcher and he was upset with the way the second season went. And then, you're just like, oh, well, sometimes you hear that crap. It's, where there's smoke, it's not always fire. It's just a bunch of whatever. And then now seeing it play out, you're like, well, he was probably looking for an out. And that was probably it. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to go reprise my role as Superman. And then now he's going to jump into something else, which is great for him. I mean, he's going to be successful in whatever he does because he's the man. But
yeah.
It is unfortunate because he does just come across as a Superman type, like just a great representation of that character.
Yeah,
he does. And I love Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is super underrated. Movie gets a lot of shit, and I love that movie.
Not super underrated, but I think like unacceptably like shit on. Like people. It's just I don't know. I liked it. I really liked Man of Steel. I liked where it went, and then you could tell there was a clear cut change. They wanted it to be more lighthearted, and I don't know. That's all of us just being old and grumpy and wanting to see our emotions reflected on screen to us. I want to see grumpy Superman, angsty Superman.
But that's Superman though. There's always that angst that drives him to be better.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, personally, I don't like Superman as a character. I think he's Wonder Bread, vanilla ice cream, cheese pizza.
Some people, it's a lot. I hear that a lot. A lot of people feel that way, and I get it.
I think it just comes from like when it comes to like I don't know, like do you guys watch Dragon Ball Z at all when you were growing up?
No.
Okay, well then forget that comparison. But I don't like the cookie cutter like Superman's weakness is kryptonite, and the worst thing about him is he's like scared to be as powerful as he can be, and like he just it always seems to me like they're always inventing new powers for him to get, and it's just like I don't know. It's always his biggest weakness is like he doesn't want to hurt somebody or something, and you're like, dude, come on. But again, I don't know. It's just a weird thing that I've never really cared for him. I think there's way more intriguing characters all around him. Like speaking of like the Justice League, there's like better characters with better motivations and arcs other than, oh, look at the OP God guy who the only reason he loses is because he's too busy doing something else or he doesn't know he's that strong to beat that guy yet. So I don't know. That's my kind of thing.
Like kryptonite. Yeah.
Yeah, or some magic space rock that apparently everybody gets their hands on all the time.
And that's the thing. That's the thing I always want to see with Superman is, we get a lot of that corniness, but I want to see how do you beat someone who is a god, who is on that level. I want to see like Brainiac come in and be a villain. I want to see that.
The only problem with
the cheat code of the freaking kryptonite. I want to see how you take that man down.
My problem is like because there's places where I like it, like the original Justice League did do some cool things where it was like, and this is the only kind of positive I'll give the God, I can't think of the original cut. I can't think of the director's name for that.
Not the one that actually came out.
The Joss Whedon cut. The only thing that I did respect about that one is they made Superman seem like, oh man, we shouldn't wake him up. It's probably better that he's or when he does wake up, that he's just this raw force of nature. Kind of Hulk.
Yeah.
And I liked that part of it.
Yeah.
And on the opposite tone, like The Boys. Do you guys watch The Boys?
Yes.
Yep.
So I love that, not so much in the like this last season, but the couple seasons before, like Homelander is just terrifying because nothing that can stop him if you piss him off. And that's like when you tell that kind of story, or even like the conflicted side like Man of Steel, where he's not just gonna help everybody just because he has to, it's like that when you write it a good way, where you have somebody that's super overpowered but has a problem. Or I keep snowballing here, but like Watchmen, how Dr. Manhattan is
Yep.
God, but he just doesn't care. So there's like that's when it's written, that's when it's done right, I think. But so I understand why it's hard to make, write a God-like person have, some sort of problem that he has to go through. Because what problem does he have? No one can actually beat that guy.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So every week we are recommending a movie to each other to watch. Sometimes it'll be from you guys. Sometimes it's us. Last week I was told to watch Bullet Train. So we all watched Bullet Train. And I will go to you first, Eric. What did you think about it?
Dude, I couldn't have been more happy watching this fucking movie. It was just the action, the fighting, everything about it, the sequence, the shots. It was just fucking cool as shit. Brad Pitt fucking kills it in this fucking movie.
He did.
Oh my God.
I think
I loved it every second.
Josh, were you also positive on that? I'm sure you were.
No, the movie's trash. No, I'm just playing. Like, yeah, the movie's fire. What?
Like, yeah, I know. I wanted to talk the other night when I finished it and then you watched it. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I didn't expect it. I just did. I didn't know. I didn't know much about the movie. I'd seen trailers, but I didn't fully comprehend the style they were going for. It so much reminded me of like Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
Like if somebody tried to make Quentin Tarantino movies, but they're not Quentin Tarantino, that's what it reminded me of.
And like almost trying to get a PG-13 rating, like
right. But then then every so often they're like, no, fuck it, just go for the
not do that. No, it was such a delight because it's almost like I wanted it to be bad. Like some of the things that they were doing in it, I'm like, all right, when's this gonna start sucking? When is it gonna start sucking? When is it gonna start sucking? And it
doesn't.
It just kept getting. It just stayed good, and then it hits these peaks that are just like brilliant. And then it had that like it reminded me of Smoking Aces. Back in the day, did you ever see Smoking Aces?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds was in that, right?
I believe he was in this one too, which was
he was.
I was almost going to. I would have given myself the biggest pat on the back if I guessed something right before the third act started. I was gonna guess that. I guessed that Brad Pitt was the White Death. That was my like prediction for the movie, because there's a line where the whole thread where she loads the gun so that way he'll shoot himself.
Yeah.
So if anybody hasn't seen it, that's we're spoiling it, but that's what
spoiler.
We're doing.
Yeah, I'll put a spoiler warning right in the, we gotta spoil it. I mean,
and she says, "Oh, he only kills people with their own weapons," and I was like, "Wait a minute." The only people that Brad Pitt kills, he kills the wolf with his knife, and then he kills the girl with the poison. So I was like, wait, is he the White Death? And this is going to be like a total fake out at the end. And then I was saddened by that wasn't, because I was going to be so happy with myself that I.
But then it was Michael Shannon.
Yeah,
that was fire. I was like, that's the thing. This movie hit me with cameos that I just didn't see coming. I mean, we had Ryan Reynolds, then we had Michael Shannon, we had Sandra Bullock at the end, and I was trying to figure out who the voice was. The whole movie, every time she was talking, I'm like,
oh my God,
who is that? One of my favorite parts of this movie is when
the wolf was Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of this movie is that they do this whole like scene where they're building him up, they're hyping him up, they're showing his past, showing everything he's been through. Like they're hyping this character up. And I shit you not, within like 3 minutes, they kill him off.
Yeah.
They do this big hype up for him, and then they just killed him. And I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. And then the fact
I
that
couldn't believe it.
in the panda outfit the whole time, and I'm like, oh,
Oh my god.
this is great. I was like, if Donald Glover shows up, I'm losing my freaking mind.
That would have been great. That would have been lovely.
The whole
But
alien cast there.
the characters of Tangerine and Lemon just
Yeah.
they were I fucking loved those two together.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. Just their back and forth and the whole Thomas the Tank Engine shit. And all.
Oh
I was
my
like, this is
God.
fucking great.
Yeah, this movie had no right with some of the emotional beats that it had. A movie this silly and this wacky and out there, but like when Tangerine thinks Lemon died, Aaron Taylor Johnson is his name. He's great. Just the performance he gave when he realized that he thought he was dead. And that was so emotional, and then it reversed because he died, and he gives him the sticker, the Thomas the Train sticker, and I was like, you have no right to make me feel like this in the middle of everything going on.
You know, the best part, one of the best parts was I went down. So my friend told me, he's like, I want to score after this, and I'm trying to think about it, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, I'm liking it. It's a high 8, maybe a 9. And then the truck, like, out of nowhere hitting the girl. I was like, no, don't do that cheap ass, like, random truck. And it totally got me. And then it goes back and I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And that's kind of how I felt this entire time of the movie, where it's like, oh,
it was a tangerine truck.
Cheesy dialogue. Dialogue is just saved by like great action and like to match the and you're like, oh my god. And then at the end of it, just kind of looking back about how great Brad Pitt was in this movie. Like,
oh my god,
the one-liners were out of here. He reminded me he should have been in a damn Marvel movie.
Yeah,
if you place that character in a Marvel movie, it would work so well.
Technically, for one frame, he is a Marvel movie.
Yes. Directed by the same director. This movie's directed by the director who did Deadpool 2. It's funny that he had Ryan Reynolds in for a super short cameo. And
that's exactly what that is. Now that's all it lines up. Yeah.
It lines up completely. And Brad Pitt, it was so good. I love Brad Pitt, and I didn't always love Brad Pitt.
So he's a I call it like a Denzel type, where yes, I love Denzel as an actor, but he's always kind of the same guy. He's always It's like Ryan Reynolds. I like Ryan Reynolds too, but he's just Ryan Reynolds in his movies
every time. Yeah,
a little like, hey, dude, what else can he do? Yeah, and if you love it, hey, all the power to you.
Yeah, and I do love it. I love him being Ryan Reynolds all the time. Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I kind of want to see him do something else, and this felt like Brad Pitt doing something else. Like not entirely, not so far to either way, but he was definitely like a different version of it, and he was just awesome. I love it.
I mean, he's been on a streak with me. I mean, he did Inglourious Bastards, and that's when I first was like, oh man, like I think I might like Brad Pitt. And then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was so good in that.
I still need to watch that one.
You do.
Still need to see that one.
You do. It's a great movie. I love that fucking movie.
Fury? Have you seen Fury with him and Shia LaBeouf in it?
Yep. John Bernthal.
Yes. Fantastic.
That movie is, and it's around that era. Like he just started doing these films, and I'm like, like this is what I want to see you doing.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say about this movie, I feel like I have one con, and the con is fine. There's CGI in this movie that is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, PlayStation 3 bad.
I think it's 100% intentional too. I think it's supposed to make it.
I kind of feel like that too, because you had the money to have these actors in it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I feel like, especially like the train scene at the very end. I mean, it was obviously totally like just cheap CGI action,
and over the top
too. I
super
loved every second of it.
When Tangerine, when they do that scene where Brad Pitt pushes him through the train doors and he's out, and Tangerine gets back on the train.
Yeah.
I
was
was
like,
cracking up. I was like, you can't, you're a human being. You
Yeah.
can't do it. But it was fine. It was like the movie knew what it was. And
yeah, it
I
didn't try
respect that. Like,
to be too serious, but it hits emotionally, but not too serious at times. Can we
yeah,
talk about the Japanese covers of all the songs? How fantastic those
Oh
were!
my god!
fire.
Yes,
I gotta download
yes.
the soundtrack. Oh, it was
Yeah,
so
Yes.
good.
so good. Yeah, definitely. I'll give a shout out. Thank you, Steve Riley, for that. He was the one that told me, he's like, you got to watch this movie. It's fantastic. And I was like, okay, it seems like it's a murder mystery type on a train a little bit, some sort of assassin type thing. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I didn't get around to it. I figured this was a perfect platform to it, and I'm so glad I watched it. It was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I
And-
thank
and
him
guess
too
who-
because it made me watch it. And I
Sony.
love it.
And it was Sony.
Sony.
Yeah. Every like 5 movies, they have a hit.
They're
have
hit
a
or miss.
fire
and when they
movie.
hit, they fucking hit hard.
Absolutely.
No, I love it. I'm gonna watch it again. I got to get my wife to watch it because I
Oh,
think
yeah, I
she'll
gotta
really
watch it
enjoy
again.
it too.
So, Scream 6 dropped the trailer, and I forgot that there's that many of them. I didn't know that there was that many Screams. I'm not a big horror fan, so it's no shocker to me that I'm not super into it. What did you think? What was your takeaways from it, Josh?
I am a big horror fan, and one franchise that I happen to love is the Scream franchise. I know they're not all good. I know that. But they hit me. They hit me in a certain spot. I love the Scream franchise. Scream 5 was pretty good. I actually had Jack Quaid in it. From The Boys, who plays Huey. He
Yep.
was in that movie, and Jenna Ortega, she was phenomenal in the movie.
That's what
And
caught me. So it caught me to, because I saw that I watched the trailer for this one,
mhm.
and then I went back. I was like, all right, well, what happened in Scream 5? And then I saw she was in it, and I'm like, oh, so it's continuing. It's not a, because originally like the Scream comes up, and I was like, okay, are they rebooting it? What are they doing? And then I saw that it was
Right,
6.
yeah.
Okay, so it's continuing, and then yeah, so I noticed. So this is like an ongoing type thing. I mean, so what I've noticed is they can just kind of rehash and reboot these because it's just people becoming the new killer. Like I read the
Right,
plot
yeah,
for
yeah.
it's just people going, I want to be the new Ghostface and kill people. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that
So they
really
can-
is what every film is. I mean, that's
Yep.
kind of the treat
I-
at the end. That's the
yeah,
gimmick,
was
you know?
noticed. I think it was 4, or maybe it was it 3, where they like kind of broke down the fourth wall. Like, oh, this no, that's the very first one where they're talking about like in horror movies. This is the shit
They
that
do it in
happens.
all of them. That's the gimmick
Yeah,
in all of them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's basically
but it was-
paying homage to those classic horror films.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And actually, in 5, they're talking about what happens when you reboot a franchise. And
Oh,
what
yeah.
are the rules of a reboot? And that's actually kind of the gimmick of 5. But what are the gimmicks of a classic horror? And then the second one, a sequel, then the trilogy. And like, that is the whole gimmick of the whole series. And that's really why I like it. You know, it doesn't have to be great, but it's just, it's horror for horror fans. It really is. It's just super gimmicky. You
And
catch those references, like if you're a real fan of the horror. So
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and looking at like the $24 million budget making $150 million, making $150 million. I mean, it's making money. People like them, so
people are
why
seeing
not?
them.
Yeah, people are watching. It's not every movie has to be a blockbuster. You could just fill that little niche for someone who wants to go see it on a Saturday night, a nice popcorn thriller.
Horror
I mean,
movies are good for that in the box office.
Yeah, because everybody can be engaged, and I think I don't know why I've never really been into horror. I think maybe because my brain tries to go like, "Oh, why would they do that? Why would they do that?" And maybe I should just shut up and go, "Well, so the movie can happen." But yeah, it's definitely found its niche. It looks fun. I mean, it looks fine.
Yeah, he's in Manhattan. I mean, all serial killers got to go to Manhattan.
All movie killers got to go to Manhattan.
I
Jason,
mean,
Michael
Jason went to
Myers hasn't
Manhattan.
been there yet, though. The Michael Myers,
yeah.
that's my favorite slasher of all. I love the Halloween franchise.
Yeah.
I want to see
What did
Michael go to Michael go to New York. That'd be dope.
Airbnb. See, he gets a nice little relax. Plenty of people in Times Square he can go. He can get rid of so many people, and
Oh
no one's
yes.
gonna notice or care. They're gonna be like, "Oh, thank
Yeah.
God." A little less people in Times Square right now. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we've covered. What we got this week, guys.
Wednesday we have our live stream. We're breaking down our top 5 Christmas movies.
Top 5
Yes.
Christmas movies. Now, depending on when you watch this, that might have already happened, so you
Oh
can
yeah,
go
true.
check that out. But regardless, yeah, that's going to be our next thing. Is we're going to bring in some Christmas spirit into this motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Christmas spirit, maybe some Christmas spirits.
Yeah.
Hey.
I mean, even if it's you just want to come and just kind of putz around and then watch me drink at the end,
Mhm.
Yeah.
give it a view.
That's what we're about to do.
Yep. We got that drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
Drink of the week. We're gonna do a beer of the week this time. Local brewery called Modest Man Brewing out of Keene, New Hampshire. I have never had one of these. I mean, I love sours, but this is an imperial sour.
Ooh, those are good.
First time doing it. 8%. And yeah, it's called Hard Raz.
I just had Treehouse the other day. A whole bunch of Treehouse beers. And those are
Oh, that's definitely raspberry.
yeah.
Oh yeah. I actually just had I don't know if you've ever had Branch and Blade, but they have this thing, their Sack Lunch series.
No, I haven't.
So dude, they're pretty good. They're thick.
Where are they at?
They're also out of Keene.
Okay.
I believe they're in Keene.
My brother lives in Keene, so I'll be out there shortly.
And they're thick. They're smoothie style kind of, but peanut butter, fluff, milk, sugars and stuff like that. But man, they are delicious.
Like a Pipe Dream. Pipe Dream does those, like the
Pipe
cereal.
Dream's got a couple of those too. Yeah. But no, that's a beautiful color.
That's a sour.
It is.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tat.
Tot.
Well,
That is
that.
delicious.
Real tot. Yeah.
Go give Modest Man a try.
Yeah, I'll have to. When I'm on Keene, I'll have to give them a try. Not a huge fan of sours, but other than that, guys, we will see you on our live stream. We will see you in next week's episode. From all of us here at Personified Fandom. See you later.
Love ya.